Hello.
Hi.
So today we wanted to add to our general description of identity and duality relations, and basically to just discuss some more advanced topics of these relations. So basically, yeah, with identity it's seemingly quite simple because it's obviously two people, like two types that are the same, and um, uh, yeah, it functions exactly the same way, assuming that both types are equally developed.
So when we say that, we mean
Our own theory of development, we don't mean developed as in better or worse, we mean developed like the last four aspects, and we talked about this before, but last four aspects are basically can be more or less developed, and they are, because they're opposing pairs, you get one or the other.
Yeah. It's, I mean, the technical term would be whether you have developed your valued weaker functions or the the unvalued stronger ones. I mean, technically, the definition, the distinction between strength and weak isn't a good one, but like at least everyone knows what we mean when we say that. For an IEI,
Yeah, it's
of
not
course,
quite right.
an IEI, you either developed to an IE or an SLE or dual. Or, I mean, there's also that weird in-between stage as well. But basically, yeah, so depending on the stage of development, I guess.
And again, stages don't mean like 1, 2, 3.
No,
They
no,
don't
no.
mean
It's
going
not a
higher or
progressive.
lower.
Yeah, it's not a progressive
Mhm.
development. It's just sort of like what kind of functions
States.
do you have? Yeah, states. Yeah, more. Yeah, it's more. Yeah, it's more. It's not meant to be necessarily towards your dual.
So what it means effectively is that even though the two identical types are identical, so they have like the same lead, the same creative, the same vulnerable and role, the other four might be different developed, and then it might lead to misunderstandings, it might lead to different aims, it might lead to what looks like different values. So like IEIs can have SE and TI developed, or NE and FI developed, or there might be these combinations of someone having a bit of SE and a bit of NE and jump in between and stuff like that.
And if you remember the video on the styles, so basically, if you, for example, if one of the types says FI developed and the other one TI developed, that's gonna get in the way of communication.
Yep.
For example. So that's not gonna help, even though technically you value the same
Mhm.
aspects. The styles there will be a little bit of discrepancy there, and that's not going to be easy to sort of.
Yep. It's literally will lead to like
clashes.
Yeah, clashes.
Yeah.
And it gets even more fun if you think about duality.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Which we call the crow joke of Socionics.
Yeah, we did in a video way back. But basically, yeah, your dual can resemble your superego or yourself, kind of, and anything in between.
So now if you also imagine one of the duals being developed to the opposite quadrant and the other dual being developed to the opposite quadrant, they will have nothing in common.
Yeah.
Literally. So this is how a lot of people will look at their own dual and think like, this is bad. Why? What? Like they're so boring. They have nothing. Like again, IEI SLE. If SLE is developed to SLI and II to IE, SLE would look very down to earth to IEI, and IEI would seek a company of intuitive types and think like, oh God, like why are they talking about this boring like very tangible stuff? I have like my soul is much more interesting. My ideas are much more interesting. Why aren't they thinking about the universe or something of that sort with an E? So, and effectively that will be hidden each other's roles.
So yeah, and for some reason it appears to be the case that it's easier to develop, let's say if you're a logical type, it's easier to develop the other logic than the complementing ethics, for example. So you will find a lot of ethical into it as well. I mean, granted, obviously, different cultures will have different aspects to emphasize. So, for example, modern culture is very delta, so it's the delta ethicals, quite a lot of them will have the complementary sensory logical aspects. But generally speaking, is sort of, if you rule out that, it's sort of common to see sort of hyperlogical types or hyperintuitive types. And what happens then, if you look at your dual, it just appears, especially as an intuitive, for example, it just seems very down to earth and boring and basic and primitive and not lofty and sort of, sophisticated almost. And the other way around, I mean, if you're a hypersensory type, you might just think that, okay, that hyperintuitive
They're stuck in their head.
Is basically an idiot in a different way. Basically, just insane, maybe, crazy. I mean, double intuition, I don't know.
Like, just stuck in their head.
Yeah. So that's definitely not going to help.
I mean, the lack of logic might seem like, okay, what you're looking for is irrational in a classic sense, not in socionic sense.
Yeah.
They seem irrational, why are they doing things they're doing, kind of thing.
Yeah, unpredictable.
Yeah.
There you go. Thank you, and see you in the next week.